Good evening, everybody. Welcome to TedTalksBall. We've got a unusual evening edition. Joe Stevens and I here. We've been trying to get together for a while, but I do mostly weekdays during business hours, and he's mostly weekdays in the evenings and weekends. I don't do much on the weekends. But ultimately, my wife took pity on me and said she'd watch my son for a little bit here. So got a chance to get Joe on the show. Joe is a Seahawks expert. You can find him at Joe Stevens 39 on Twitter. He also just started a YouTube channel not too long ago. So be sure you check him out, give him a like and a subscribe, and check out his work. He does good stuff. He does a lot of shows with Ryan from No Border Sports. I had Candace Hagens on today, and she mentioned that she's done some work with him. She's really great. Love Candace. And so just happy to have you in the content creation community. Actually, I guess you reached out to me early on for some advice.
Yeah.
And I hope it was helpful. And I was just like, hey, whenever you want, I'll come on. And then it's been a total nightmare trying to sync our schedules. But
it was right before the wild card game. I was like, I typed in Seahawks and clicked live, and then you came up. I was like, okay, this guy will actually respond to my comments. So we'll see. We'll see if this gets anywhere, because I've been wanting to for a while. I'd use expert loosely with me. I think Candace is an expert. I'm more of a typical hardcore fan, type deal. She's a better number cruncher than I am.
There you go. Got Bryant Culp in the house saying, hey, it's going to be
Brian?
a great show. Thanks for joining, Bryant. We appreciate you being here. I'm excited to chop it up with Joe. And I guess, ultimately this is our first show together. So, I think you probably know a little bit about what to expect from me, but ultimately, I'm a lot different, on these shows than I am on the timeline. I tend to always get toxic and kind of trollish. Beto was telling me, he's like, man, you're a really good troll. And I'm like, I don't know. I just, I like to argue. And, in real life, I got into trouble with it because I would alienate friends or family. But, on Twitter, it just sort of seems like if you make one person mad, someone else likes what you're doing. And so it all seems to even out on there a little bit. So, but I don't do these shows for gotchas or, receipts. So you don't have to worry about saying anything. I definitely want your honest opinions. I don't want you to say things that you think I want to hear or anything like that. I don't want an echo chamber.
I honestly sometimes I like to be wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I like it when somebody will go, remember when you said this back then? Because I was like, oh yeah, if I did say that back then, you are right. It's a proof that I said that. So it don't bug me one bit.
Yeah, the last thing I ever want to do is spread bad information. And so I rely on people to, put me in my place. I feel like Twitter's a good thing about Twitter is someone will always be there to correct you if you say something out of line. And, I'm wrong from time to time too. I tell people when people say, oh, you think you're never wrong. I'm like, dude, all you got to do is search me and you can search, I was wrong or my bad or like great point. Yeah. Those are some keywords I use when I'm like, hey, I was wrong, or at least this is a better idea than I had, whatever. So I will say it's rare, but it does happen. So.
Brian's saying Jake Bobo might be coming to the Niners. He's a Seahawk, dude.
Well, maybe I guess he likes Jake Bobo. And well, I think he's down there in the LA area. I think I remember him saying that he was going to watch a Lakers Warriors game at Crypto. Was that you, Bryant? I think it was. And so, I guess he's probably had more exposure to UCLA folks. Clearly we're not going to get Charbonnet, who you guys drafted. It looks like a really nice back.
I don't know much about Charbonnet. I know that people are really high on him. I've watched his highlights. Obviously, I haven't watched film on him, so that's one thing. He sounds kind of more like a.
Wait, there's a difference?
Yeah, there's a big difference. He seems kind of more like a one-cut back, which would be great complementary to Kenneth Walker. You guys didn't get to see a whole lot of him last year, but he might be the next big thing. So
I mean, I know that he was getting some offensive rookie of the year consideration. Kenneth Walker, obviously Garrett Wilson won it, but there was talk about Olave maybe. Maybe he was the 1B to Garrett Wilson's 1A. And then obviously Brock Purdy got some consideration, even despite his short resume. He had such a huge impact. It was hard not to give him at least a little consideration for rookie of the year.
I think Purdy should have won it. I really do. Purdy or Walker. I mean, Purdy, it was so impressive how he just went in there. I mean, it's not like a guy you expected to go in there day one, right? Like, he wasn't a first-round pick. So to see that guy go in there, you're like, that's scary,
See, I already snuck in a QB conversation, and it's barely been 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he was pretty good for a dink and dunk quarterback.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
snap!
Ryan was
shots fired! Shots fired! I hope you're not friends with Larry Kruger.
Ryan was telling me there was some arguments or something about him being dink and dunk or not. Like,
oh yeah, there was a huge deal where Larry Kruger, who's like a big radio guy, KMBR, and then now 95.7 The Game, the two largest sports stations in the Bay Area he's worked for, and he started his own channel called The Krug Show this season. He's already up to 18,000 subs, so he's doing quite well. And he was on with but the thing with Larry Kruger is he was one of the first Brock Purdy guys. So last year in OTAs, or for sure by camp, he was saying, hey, I think we got something here with this Brock Purdy guy. And everybody's like, yeah, sure, Larry, sure. But Larry, besides being a radio sports guy and mostly football, but he also covers the Warriors and the Giants. I mean, there was at least a time this season where he was doing after shows after every Warriors game, 2-3 hours into the wee hours of the night. He does a lot of after shows after Niner games till 2-3 in the morning. But he definitely made his mark, if you will, as a scout. And he did some scouting. He told me an interesting story about scouting for the CFL. And we were talking about whether Trent Williams was giving away plays with his outside foot being back for a pass pro or parallel for a run play, and whether he was giving away the plays and whether or not that mattered. And Larry's like, oh yeah, tells are real. He's like, I remember there was this guy, a wide receiver in the CFL, and they'd break the huddle, and if the guy tightened up his gloves, the little straps, the wrist straps on his gloves, that meant it was a pass. And if he left them loose, it meant it was a run. And it was like, he was 100%. He said, even took it one further. He said, if the guy double tightened him, like tightened him and tightened again, and tightened him and tightened again, he said, then the pass was to him. So there definitely are tells. It's kind of interesting. But like Larry and Ryan got into this dink and dunk thing because, Ryan's been saying that, that Purdy's dink and dunk. And Larry said something about it on someone else's show, didn't mention Ryan's name, but Ryan was pretty sure he was talking about him. And so Ryan called him out. It's like, so were you talking about me when you were saying the dink and dunk people don't know what they're talking about? And it just started this thing, and it went on for like half an hour, and it was super awkward. And, basically it was really interesting because there were a lot of really interesting things to it. Like, so for instance, like for me, I wouldn't call Brock Purdy dink and dunk, but I do say that he has a limited arm, he has limited height, and he has limited top speed. He's super quick, but like after a few steps, people are chasing him down from behind. So, but dink and dunk to me says like you can't he hits those 10 to 20 yard passes really well. And I know he helped open up the box a little bit I think there's still a lot more we could open up the box if we did have a really strong arm quarterback. But Larry said some things to Ryan that I was just like, oh, I just don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree. And I don't know if you want to, how much you want to go into it or not. But like, basically, I was like DMing people about it. Like, I'm Team Ryan, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, don't be a wimp, Ted. Just go put it on the timeline, like if you really feel a way. And if Larry blocks me, so what? Whatever. I mean, it's just like sometimes you got to be willing to take a shot if you want to stand up for what you believe in, I think. And so I had this whole string of tweets that were from the show and just like where basically I disagreed with Larry with things that he said. But again, I don't know how much you want to talk about Purdy and this argument or any of this stuff.
He works for both of them work on the local radio station. Is that what it is? Ryan and
No, Ryan is a content creator. He has a really fast growing YouTube channel. I want to say 4,000 or 5,000 subs in under a year. He's sort of like Grant Cohn's second guy. Like if there's Grant and then there's Jesse Naylor is kind of the number 2 guy with Grant, then Ryan Hensley is sort of the number 3 guy.
Okay.
And so he like sells real estate. He sells solar. And I think he might have some other kind of side hustle. He's a busy guy, hard worker, and does pretty well for himself. And he's got a good channel going on. So, ultimately, like I said, I don't agree with Dink and Dunk, but I disagree with a lot of things that Larry said. Like for instance, it was like Larry's like, oh well, Purdy won all these games, and Ryan said, well, I'm a coach. I look for things that go wrong even in wins. And I totally agree with that. I don't think just because you win a game mean everything's perfect. And Larry's like, well, I can name 4 or 5 things that Brock does that makes up for his limited arm. It's like, dude, if you do have 4 or 5 things that make up for limited arm, that means you have a limited arm. I mean, like that some of it's just so basic. And he's like, oh, well, you think you know more than Kyle? And it's like, yeah, sometimes we do know more than Kyle, especially about the quarterback position. I mean, come on, it's been 6 years. We still don't have it right. So, I'm not saying I know more than Kyle all the time but there's times, yeah, everybody's wrong from time to time. And then he's like, oh, well, nobody who, is credible would say that Brock is dink and dunk. And I guess that's kind of true. Steve Supremo was talking about Kurt Warner clowning on Ryan. Kurt Warner actually jumped in on the conversation and said that he's not.
That's what Ryan was telling me. It's just crazy. Yeah.
It's pretty huge. It's pretty huge. And so I think a lot of it just comes down to what's the definition of dink and dunk. And ultimately for me, it's like, why I say he's limited and not dink and dunk is because like you look at, there was a couple throws in the Raiders game where he threw it. He was going one way and tried to throw back the other way. And he threw the ball up to Kittle, and it got intercepted. And he threw it up to Juwan Jennings, and it was a PBU or a dropped interception. And they both should have been touchdowns. If it was a strong arm QB, they would have just launched it. But like he, to go deep, has to stop, set up, and throw. And you even saw it in Dallas game. The one big throw of the game to Kittle, he was rolling out to his left, and he stopped, and then he planted and threw. And so it's just like, Larry's saying, oh, he has this arm strength to make all the throws. To me, that's not all the throws. If you can't make them off platform, then that's not all the throws, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to Ryan, not Hensley, obviously. Ryan with No Border Sports.
Yeah.
And I was saying that like a lot of this stuff, a lot of these like arguments and stuff between people, it has to do with us just being bored. It's June 1st now, so it's kind of a big day in the NFL. But, I was talking to him on May 30th or May 31st and going, there's not a whole lot to talk about right now, between fans. So it's like everybody's got to find something to bitch about, right? Like we had a big thing in ours. It was whether it was important or not that Jamal Adams was skipping out on OTAs. And that was a big hot button thing, where there's 2 big local radio guys and everybody's just clowning on him because they're like saying it's important that Jamal Adams should be at OTAs, and they're pissed off that he's not. But it's all stuff that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much once September comes, if that makes sense. Even when August comes, right? So
Yeah, we had the same discussion about Debo, and especially because Debo held in last year and was a little bit out of shape, and people are like, "Oh, is it a big deal?" And I'm just like, I trust Debo to work out. He definitely broke his foot a couple years ago working out before OTAs with the Footwork King. So I'm going to err on the side of trusting that he's doing what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting for sure. So some of those ones, real quick. There's the good coaches always try to improve even after wins. I said good ideas can come from anywhere, even us non-credentialed peasants. Because I'm a firm believer in that. Good ideas can come from anywhere. You don't have to
Yeah.
be credible for that. Credible people probably have them more often, right? But it just no one's perfect and no one's imperfect. Is sort of my point. Purdy may not be dink and dunk, but he definitely had a limited arm and could not make all the throws before his UCL surgery. CMC. Oh, so then there was this argument of like, oh well, all us Trey Lance fans, we keep saying, well, you need to see him with CMC, and Larry's saying, well, if you have him with CMC, that's going to make him dink and dunk because he's going to throw short to CMC. And I said, no, CMC's gravity takes attention away from 49ers deep threats, even if he doesn't go deep himself. So when everybody's covering CMC, it's going to open up Kittle and Ayuk and anyone else, Danny Gray, anyone going deep. And then I said, just because some big arm, then it was like he started naming off all the big arm quarterback busts, right? And I'm like, just because some big arm quarterback busts have been busts doesn't mean that arm strength isn't important. And then they say, well, arm strength isn't the most important thing. And I'm like, you're right, it's not.
No.
But it's like when you don't have arm strength, you don't have height, you don't have top speed, then it starts to stack, right? And that was the other thing was like he was talking about, nobody's perfect, right? Except for maybe Mahomes, right? So
Mahomes isn't perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No, nobody's perfect, but Mahomes is probably the closest thing right now, right?
Yes.
And so I said nobody's perfect, but that doesn't mean we have to settle for a quarterback who has lots of imperfections. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying we're settling with Purdy. I love him. Offense has looked the best it's looked under Kyle in San Francisco, but it didn't look as good as the offense looked in 2016 with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. And I know they had Julio. He's better than any of our weapons, but I think the rest of our weapons group is a better group. So, I mean, even with Julio included. So, I think there's a lot of untapped potential with our weapons.
I think so too. I mean, that's basically I when I first started doing this a couple months ago, like videos with people on YouTube, podcasts, whatever you want to call it. I said to 49ers fans, I hate their logo, I hate their jerseys, I hate everything about them except for that roster. That roster that they built, if they didn't have the SF on the side of their helmets, I would absolutely love that team. I love the way they built that roster. They got weapons all over the place, offensively, defensively. I think they're the model of how an NFL team should be put together.
There you go. Yeah. And then Steve says, bad example, Ted. If we didn't watch films after wins, we wouldn't have studied 12 weeks. Exactly. Yeah. I disagree with Larry, who's saying like, oh, as long as a quarterback wins and that's the only thing that matters, I think you can still look to improve even if you have a quarterback who's winning. I think Jimmy G should have taught us. In fact, that was some more of the quotes that I had. Let me pull them up real quick and I'll finish them and we'll be done with that. But basically, okay. I was saying, so they were also saying like he was saying no credible people have said that, and so I said coaches, GMs, and scouts sometimes think things without saying them publicly, right? Yeah. I also said sometimes they say the exact opposite of what they're thinking publicly. I mean Kyle loves to try and deceive and be so. And then he was saying, well, you're saying Purdy can't beat Mahomes in this if we're behind in the Super Bowl, like. Acting like that's unrealistic. And I said, if you want to win the Super Bowl, you should be prepared to beat Patrick Mahomes to do so. I mean, let's look at, he's been in 3 of the last 4 and won 2 of them. So, I mean, and then, and I said, if QB wins were misleading for Jimmy G, then they can be misleading for any quarterback, especially one playing the same weapons Jimmy G played with. So anyway, that was my sort of, my little Twitter rant that I did based off of that. Like, just trying to be like, hey, I'm not going to hide in the DMs, DMing people like I'm Team Ryan. It's like, no, just show, get out there and say it and take a stand. And so I did.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, because what's the worst that can happen? Somebody's going to disagree with you. And
Yeah, or
I'm
block
just,
me, and then I got burners. I can still follow them. It's not the end of the world.
well,
So.
I'm not a big, I know I need to be, I'm not a big social media guy, to be completely honest. I'm more of like a YouTube and radio type of guy. So, what's up, Niner Gang?
That's Dion Johnson. He's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Dion. But go ahead. You were saying you want to get more involved in social media. I mean, I'll
Kind
just
of,
tell you what, Twitter is toxic as hell. I mean, and if you don't have the right kind of like attitude for it, I think it could totally bring you down. I just know, like, when certain people say things, I'm just like, oh, that's a win. That's just like, oh, I just won that argument. When we were arguing football and they go personal, they call me fat. They, say anything that's disparaging about me. I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha.
well,
you
the
know,
thing, I, I don't know about you guys. So it was with the Jamal Adams OTA situations. Somebody, Dave Softy Mahler, he's like the
Mueller,
most.
yeah.
Oh, you
Oh yeah,
know
he's
him?
very he beefs with our radio guys all the time with
So
Larry Kruger and the guys down here. Yeah. I've known him for a while for
so Softy
Seahawks.
Softy is my idol. Like that's who I grew up listening to. He's actually like the number one reason why I wanted to do this. So growing up, like I wanted Softy's job, right? But obviously life takes you in a different direction. Um, but Softy was the one saying that Jamal Adams should be at OTAs, and then some like girl on Twitter like says something, and like everybody's like beefing with Softy because this girl says it, and they're all just kind of like agreeing with her because she's pretty attractive, and it's like
Oh, is that Anna? Hot takes?
I'm not gonna say their name, but
Oh, okay,
but
she
yeah,
blocked me.
but no, it's just frustrating. It's like just say how you feel and don't like yeah. I don't know. I don't like people are talking shit about Softy. Softy's like the biggest Seahawks fan. Uh, I mean, he's the only person in this city. If he switched stations, I guarantee 50% of the audience was switch stations too. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I know him. He's the only one I know. So yeah,
Sorry about that, but I like Jay's comment.
no.
Can you go up to that really quick?
Yeah, where you said this one, where you said even Kyle didn't believe in Brock.
No,
Because that one, well, we should address that real quick
okay.
because I misread it. My old eyes. I thought he was saying it took 2 seasons, but it took 2 season-ending injuries. No, I agree with this. This is one of my beefs with Kyle. Like, if he's such a great quarterback coach, or why did he pass on Mahomes? Why did he pass on Brady? Why didn't he get Stafford? Why? All right, I like Lance, but then you draft Lance and you keep Jimmy around. That was dumb. And I liked it at the time. In hindsight, I can say it was a mistake. But then, yeah, so then last season, if you, he should have, in my opinion, if Brock is this good, he should have seen it. And so it worries me about this season. If there's a QB competition, that he'll pick the right guy, because clearly Brock was the best guy last season. And it took Lance getting injured, and then it took Jimmy getting injured to get him in there. And he did a better job than either one of them. Now, granted, Lance didn't have CMC and barely had Kittle. Or didn't have Kittle this year in 2022 and barely had him in 2021. But
Lance
still,
didn't play, let's be honest. Lance didn't.
It was a monsoon and one quarter, less than a
Yeah,
quarter against
exactly.
you guys.
And he just ran the ball that one quarter. That's all I remember from that game. Like they were just using him like
this Jay comment here. Not gonna lie, Seahawks past 2 drafts have been awesome. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, the 2022 draft is awesome with Walker and Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen, geez, that's like almost 2 drafts worth. To get someone like that in the 5th, that's like maybe even 3 drafts worth. That's crazy.
Gold.
Yeah, no doubt. Walker seems really solid. And then obviously you got Abraham and Cross too. And, I'm sure they'll, probably take steps forward this season for you guys. And this one looks good on paper, but like, I'm always a little hesitant to crown a team based on the draft.
I am too. So my thing is everybody's giving Seahawks A, B, C, D, whatever. Wait at least not even a full season. Wait at least 8 games, and then we'll truly see. Like I know we won't truly see those guys' careers, but we'll truly see what they did that season.
No doubt. Well, let's say hi to some people real quick, and let's dig in a little bit on your guys' draft, because I think most of these Niner fans know about ours. But we got Terradome in the house. Saying, what up,
What's
fellas?
up,
Thanks for
man?
joining Terradome. Got 49ers Ultimate Report saying Joe Stevens, the
John
best
J.
Seahawks fan. Yeah. Hey, buddy. Thanks for joining, John J. We appreciate it. And then Terradome saying, and to the hoods, East Coast, West Coast, worldwide, ain't nothing wrong with la la. If you're with me, say right. Right.
You lost me at and there.
Anyway, Pterodome's a cool fella for sure. Lost Boys. And Bryant's saying hit the like. Yeah, for me and for Joe. Check him out at Joe Stevens 39 on Twitter and on YouTube as well too. So should we dig in a little bit on the list of Seahawks draft picks? I mean, obviously, you guys swung big with 2 first-round draft picks, number 5 and number 20. Devin Witherspoon, I guess it's JSN now, is what people are going with the acronym for Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I thought it was really interesting that everybody loved the Eagles draft with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the first round. And Seahawks could have had either or both of those guys and chose differently. Went with corner instead of DT and wide receiver instead of a defensive end.
Well, obviously, interior defensive line is what we need to work on. We were 30th out of 32nd in run defense last year. But I think a lot to do with that is we're playing with Division III inside linebackers as well. I mean, that wasn't the whole problem, obviously. You got to get big guys to plug up the holes. But the reason why I feel more comfortable with passing on Jalen Carter is if Pete Carroll has character concern issues with a person and doesn't feel like they're willing to take that on, I feel like nobody should really be willing to take that on. If that makes sense. If there's one guy that thinks like, oh, this guy might not be worth it, it's definitely not Pete Carroll, right?
Yeah, Pete's taken some pretty big character risk chances in the past, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and they work a lot of the times. Sometimes they don't. We had Malik McDowell, but it's just James says this is not a conversation until Seattle does anything about their interior defensive line. I disagree. We did. We got Draymond Jones. We got Jay Reed in free agency. We drafted a guy out of Mississippi State, I believe. Let me look.
I got it. I'll pull it up. I got Jarek.
Cam Young.
Oh, that's a safety. No, it's Mike Morris. I think is the edge out of Michigan, but I think he's bulking up to be sort of like a big or small DT, or nose tackle. Mike Morris.
Yeah, no, and then Cameron Young, Mississippi.
Oh, Cameron Young. There we go.
Yeah, thanks. I guess he's been looking really good in OTAs. How good as a nose tackle do you look in OTAs with no pads on? Right, that's kind of my thing. I'm kind of waiting towards those padded practices to hear how good our defensive line / offensive line looks, but I just think I'm really excited about Witherspoon.
Understandably, he's one of the top corners in the draft. There was the corner who went to the Patriots, or him, or pretty widely viewed as the top 2 corners in the draft, and you put him with Woolen, you put him with Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. You're starting to have a pretty.
We signed Julian Love from the Giants.
That's right, from the Giants.
He's kind of this defensive backfield we have is scary, but we got to stop the run. That's the number one thing.
Especially against us.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think having Bobby back will be a huge deal that people are kind of overlooking, right? Like, oh, he's back, blah, blah, blah. No, he's back and he means business, right? I think he didn't. We felt his absence last year. We definitely felt his absence. Oh, what's up, Beto?
Beto in the house. Loving it. So, yeah, I mean, stopping the run's important against us, especially when we got McCaffrey and we got Elijah Mitchell, but he's kind of always injured, to be honest. But I do like JP Mason a lot. Sounded like Ty Davis Price, maybe another third round bust. Sounds like he's running into the backs of blockers still and not really finding holes, which is sort of what we've seen from him so far. So that would be a bummer. That's the other thing. When I said I don't trust Kyle with quarterbacks, I don't trust Kyle with third round running backs either. But pretty much everything else. I feel like he's pretty much a genius with everything else, but those two things have kind of been his Achilles heel since he's been here. So hopefully we can figure some of those out. Seems like we might have a chance with this quarterback room. But again, you got to figure out which one is really the best and not just be like, oh, we're having a competition and then pick the guy you already had predetermined. That's not the way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that going into last year with us at quarterback, but it seemed to work.
There you go. Yeah, Locke doesn't seem to be that good for sure.
I guess
Terradome saying we're going 15-2. What should we? Is it too early to do predictions? What do you got for predictions for this season, Joe?
For the Seahawks
and the Niners, yeah.
I think the Seahawks are between 10 and 12 wins. So I say 11-5, give or take.
Yeah.
And then I see the Niners as a 12-4, 13-3 type team with the 16th. So I guess we'll say between 12 and 14 wins.
Yeah, I had us at like 13-4 or maybe 12-5. But then I saw our travel schedule. I don't know if you've seen this thing, but like we're minus 20 rest days, and there are 3 teams at plus 12 that have 32 more rest days than us during the season. We're the absolute lowest rest days in the league. And I think that'll matter. I think that I'm going to knock off at least one game. So I'm going to say more like 12-5 or 11-6. It sounds like we're going to be dead heat, according to us.
Yeah. Who are we? But
we're two guys who have an opinion.
I was actually pretty upset with. We'll get to the schedule. I think the last game of the season for the Seahawks should be against the 49ers. I think keep that Thanksgiving game, right? And then do Week 18 Seahawks-49ers instead of us playing either. I think we play the Cardinals and you guys play the Rams. Why not do the 1-2 from last year again, and then the 3-4 from last year? But
there you go. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I got caught up in Beto saying that Candace is better looking than you.
Well, yeah, I don't take pride on that.
And Brent says Beto is that guy. I'll need you to repeat the question. I'm sorry. I got lost in that. And I got Ramelia Sports in the house saying 94 champs. He loves to rub that one in. But I always like to say, if it's been so long, Ramelia, how come you guys haven't caught up? Not even half as many. So, what's the story there? But go ahead and repeat that if you don't mind.
So, Noah, what I think is, I think we're going to finish with closer records than some people think. I think we're.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
A 10-11 win team. You guys are going to be like a 12-13 win team. I don't know why the schedule makers wouldn't make what I think is true. Why wouldn't they have us playing in Week 18? Instead, we got to play the Cardinals and you guys play the Rams. I think that's BS.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that they got us playing the Rams, I think, at the end. And I just don't see the Rams being competitive this year.
And I definitely don't see the Cardinals being competitive.
Yeah, no, the Cards are Tankosaurus. Tankus Maximus. James said Niners will pound the rock down their throat again and again. Seattle has great corners and edge, LB spots, but they're soft in the interior. Also, Bobby Wagner's getting up there. I mean, I know he had a productive season last year as far as tackles and that type of thing goes. But, I mean, I think it's been a few years since he's been elite in coverage. So, I don't know. How do you feel about having Bobby back?
Oh, I love it. Not only from an emotional standpoint, but just from a complete need, right? That was our need. And obviously he's not Fred Warner anymore, but he was, right. He's probably the smartest guy on the field, and he's still a sure tackler, and that's what we needed. I mean, you guys saw us last year. It was arm tackle, arm tackle, arm tackle against you guys. It was insane. I hated it. What's up, Sponge? Sponge is my boy. I don't know if you know Sponge.
It's Lawrence Jackson Jr.'s son, or somehow I know that he's on a lot of the Ryan shows, the NFL Friday night shows.
Sponge is my guy.
He's a young guy, right?
Yeah, he's really like middle school kid, basically.
Right
comes
on.
in.
Everyone's welcome. We try to avoid the curse words. One or two slip out here or there, but we do a pretty good job with it. James is saying 11-6. I think that was for the Niners, since he meant the Niners. No, happy to have little Spongy in the house. Everybody, it's good. Teradome saying, and that's why you're a Seahawk. Rushing defense travels. We're going to sweep those sea chickens. I don't think so. I don't think we'll win in Seattle.
I think it'll be 1-1.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do. I think
Lumen Field, or whatever you want to call it, has been a house of horrors for us. A lot of that was Russ. I'm firmly convinced of that. But now I feel like now that the team's gotten better, the Seahawks team has. I think it'll be tough for us to win on things. I would love. It's weird because I'll probably be there for the Seahawks game at Levi's, but even that, so I would trade that win and lose at Levi's watching it live to have the win on Thanksgiving, and then eat that turkey leg on your guys' 50-yard line. I
don't know how you feel about this. Sorry, I haven't talked much current Seahawks stuff at all. So sorry about your guess not getting. But
don't worry about it.
So we both were, I think, 7-4 going into Thanksgiving 2014, right? It was basically whoever wins gets first place. It was us and you guys, right? And then we beat you guys, obviously, and you guys finished 8-8 or something, 8-8 or 9-7. We finished 12-4. I felt like that game put away the Harbaugh era. You tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah, everything fell apart in 2014 after that. People got injured. It was kind of already happening. There was an internal feud with Balky and Harbaugh, and Jed Yark chose Balky, and that was a poor decision. So there's a lot of things, but definitely you could say the LOB ended Harbaugh. It's fair to say it was painful as hell. And a big reason why Seahawks are my most hated team was around that whole thing, that Thanksgiving, Sherman yelling at Aaron Andrews, about Crabtree, all that. I hated all that stuff. So,
I bet you did. He says Bobby Wagner, that's what you're hanging up on your hopes on. Why wouldn't we? Honestly, when it comes to linebackers, he was graded number 1.
He's better than anyone you guys had. Look, you were playing Cody Barton for crying out loud.
And Tanner Muse and John Radigan, who you probably had never heard of.
And the other guy is decent, but he was injured, and
he tore his ACL.
Jordan Brooks, is that his name?
Yep, Brooks.
Jordan Brooks. And he was never good in coverage to begin with, right? So
he's no Bobby Wagner, but it's like, you guys have to realize, too, he was still graded the best off-ball linebacker Pro Football Focus last season. Better than
PFF. Yeah, but PFF.
I know I'm not a huge PFF guy, but what I'm saying is you have to understand they're still pretty smart, right? So he's not a slap.
No, yeah. No, he had a lot of tackles. He's good against the run. But keep in mind he had Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on that team. Now you guys, all right, I think your secondary is better than that, so I won't sweat the Ramsey. But Aaron Donald is a difference maker on the D line, and Seattle doesn't have anybody like that to take attention off of. And they also had Leonard Floyd, and they had Ashawn Robinson and Greg Gaines, and they had some underrated players on that D line too. I felt like that they've basically lost all those. Ramirez asked me why I blocked Jim Everett. I didn't block Jim Everett. Oh, unless Jim Everett is my. I did block somebody the other day. my old designer and producer. We didn't get along. He blocked me 3 times, and the third time I'm like, maybe we should just leave it like this and not work together anymore. And he came on and said something nasty in the show, and I blocked him. So if he's blocked, if Jim Everett's blocked, it's because it's my old producer. That's the only person I blocked within months. So, yeah, that's interesting. Little spongy official says 13-4 for my birds. Wow, that is aggressive. Aggressive. Are you an Eagles fan? Oh, he is an Eagles fan. That's
he is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm not seeing it for the Seahawks, but
I think that's
Eagles.
that's still aggressive. 13 wins.
Yeah,
it's aggressive.
Well, I mean, everybody loves the Eagles draft, but keep in mind that's a lot of rookies. There's a lot of rookies, and we got Javon Hargrave, who is a stud. So I think he will be missed. I think CJ Gardner-Johnson will be missed. They lost both middle linebackers. It looks like they got some people that might be good, but getting them all in cohesion and everything, I don't know. I haven't made my Eagles prediction yet, but 13-4 seems aggressive, especially when you got to play Dallas twice and the Giants twice. I would say the Commanders or whatever they're going to be called this season. Have you heard about that? That they got sued and they may have to change their name again. Yeah.
They're going to have to change their name again?
Supposedly there's an Eagles fan who has the rights to the Commanders.
Thank God. The Commanders suck.
I was going to say it might be, yeah. I was saying it might be addition by subtraction that picking a new name, it's hard to imagine them doing much worse. So but leave it to that organization. Well, also maybe they'll be under new ownership and they'll help figure it out too. They're $6.05 billion or whatever is about to be spent to buy them.
I did want to get to something that James said really quick.
Yeah.
He said, who's Seattle's tight end? We have Noah Fant, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, and Tanner Mabry. And I think Fant, Dissly, and Parkinson are obviously our top 3. They did pretty great last year.
Yeah.
Obviously not like Kittle, but
No. I talked about it last year. I said basically exactly. They're not like Kittle. Well, they are like Kittle in that they all catch and they all block. They're not dynamic like Kittle, but like the 3 of them together is probably better than Kittle and whatever else we've got. So, especially if you're running a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. Dave McNiner in the house saying, "What up, Ted and Joe?" Terradome says, "The West is ours." What else we got? We're gonna beat you like you stole something. Hadn't heard that one before. I like that. Rams might have the worst roster in the NFL next to Cardinals. Yeah, I was gonna say after AD and Limp. Yeah, so they got Cooper Kupp, AD, and then I don't know, is Stafford even gonna play? It sounds like they're all high on Stetson Bennett. I'm calling him. People are saying he's like Purdy, so I'm like, well, drunk Purdy, I guess.
I stay away from talking too much shit about the Cardinals and especially the Rams because I did that 2 years ago and then they won the Super Bowl. I did not think Stafford was going to work like he did. I was saying that guy throws too many picks, and he did start towards the end of the season. He was throwing pick sixes, but the defense, or I guess the
there's the question,
bailing themselves out.
Sea Chickens have Nwosu, good edge. Yes, they do have a good edge in Nwosu. And
I think I got him right here.
Yeah, that was a huge pickup for the Seahawks. I was really unhappy that they got him, and they got him cheap from the stupid Chargers. Damn you, Chargers. Anybody who gives Seahawks good players cheap, I'm unhappy with. Just like I was unhappy with Bill O'Brien for giving you guys Jadeveon Clowney.
Don't even get me started, dude.
I was convinced
that one game against you guys that he played like a all-pro player, and then he disappeared the rest of the season. So
I know. But still, for me, that's all I care about. And I was convinced Bill O'Brien hated the NFC West because he gave you guys Jadeveon Clowney cheap. He gave the Cards D-Hop cheap. And then when the Rams were in salary cap hell, he bailed them out and took Brandon Cooks from them and took his contract off their hands. I'm like, this guy hates the Niners because he's helping everybody in the NFC West but us. And Jadeveon Clowney brings up something interesting. His initials are JC, and I think Pete Carroll might be right about other JC we talked about earlier. Jalen Carter might be a lot like Jadeveon Clowney in that they both had character issues and motor concerns. And I know Clowney got injured, so that's a little bit different.
Well, Clowney, yeah, Clowney. Like I tell people this, Clowney didn't take plays off. He didn't. He took games off. Like it was insane. It was like, what? Where is he?
There you go. Teradum says, we beat y'all in Seattle last year without Deebo Samuel. And then in the playoffs, he went for 100. Deebo didn't play. Oh, that's right. That's right. He got injured in the Bucks game. And then he was out till the Cards game and barely played in the Cards game. That's true. Yeah. Deebo really only played the Dolphins game and half of the little more than 60 plays. I think I looked it up in the Bucks game, and then a little bit in the Cards. So he didn't play that much with Purdy, to be fair.
I'm being honest, Terradome. I know you probably don't like us because before you guys swept us last year, we were 13-4 against you in those 17 games before that. So you still got a lot of catching up to do. In overall record, you're still 10 games behind us. You got to sweep us for 5 years in a row to even catch up.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, we got 3-0 last year, so that's a good start. Like I said, I don't expect us to this year, but I mean, I wouldn't rule it out either. It's possible, but I wouldn't bet it. My bet would be 1-1.
That's what I think, 1-1. And I think our receivers, you're really going to have to worry about. Our offensive line improved a lot with our center. Our center last year was just, if you rewatch the second half of the wild card game, it's like our center just kind of snapped the ball and that's all he did. So we got Brown, I can't remember his first name, from the Lions. He's going to play center, but then we got also a rookie that's kind of challenging him for it. And Anthony Bradford out of LSU.
Oh, the one from Georgia?
No, sorry. Olu, I'm not even going to say his last name. He's from Michigan. I guess it's kind of going to be a battle. And then
Olusegun Oluwatomi or something like that.
Yeah, Oluwatomi.
Yeah, and the reason why I know his name is because my buddy was bent out of shape that you guys took him literally one pick before we took Robert Beal in the 5th.
Oh,
and
really?
So, and he's a big offensive line guy. He actually played center at Sarah High where Tom Brady went. And so he was very unhappy that we missed Olu. And, ultimately I was like, dude, we just signed Brendel to a 4-year deal. It's not like we're really in the market for a center. And Kyle hates rookies. It would take a while to develop him anyway. And there might be somebody better. But I was just trying to, but if you guys turn him into a good center, that will be a bummer for us Niner fans for sure, a little bit.
Yeah, and then we got Anthony Bradford. He's going to play guard. He's going to play guard. He'll be challenging Phil Haynes for the right guard spot.
There you go. All right. So I'm just trying to catch up here. Jim says, if Kittle wasn't a big old chicken drumstick midfield after, and that's a miss. Yeah, I would love to have Kittle out there gnawing on the drumstick for sure. Do you even think they're going to do that again, though?
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'll be there in person regardless, right? So I'll take a picture for you. I'll either give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down at the end of the game. We'll see. We'll see. I'll take a selfie with it. How about that? And send it to you.
All right, sounds good. Teradome says the refs will not help you this year in Seattle. How are you going to call that penalty on tackling? Oh, he's talking about the roughing on Bosa when Lenore had the pick 6.
I thought that was a BS penalty too, but yeah.
It happens.
You got to understand that goes both ways, right? We just put in a VHS tape of Super Bowl 40 and tell me we didn't get robbed of a Super Bowl. So
Ramelia says Seattle and Rams own Santa Clara in the NFC Championship games.
Well,
That's
we're
fine,
gonna do.
but you guys combined only have 3 rings. We got 5, so
Oh, they won too. Oh yeah, they did one too, huh?
Well, I mean, if that's the other part is the LA Rams fans weren't fans of St. Louis, and the St. Louis fans aren't fans of LA. So really, it's 1-1. But I'll grant them 2, whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and split hairs over it. Gave you a chip for charity. Aaron Donald might still retire. Ramsey already left. Yeah, I mean the Rams definitely have lost a lot of talent this offseason for sure.
James comment. We're really talking history of Niners and Seahawks, Joe. I think you guys have a lot of catching up to do. Well, we're 30-20 against you guys all time, so it's kind of we're 10 games up. You literally have to sweep us every year for 5
years. 17-4 with Russ. That's the ones that really chopped my hide since we've been good. The ones 2005, 2010. I don't care. Everybody was beating us back then, so that's not a big deal to me, or not as big a deal. Beto was saying, I can't stand the Hawks, but the most respect for Pete Carroll and his ability to coach and develop players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially DBs. And Pete was a DB. He was a safety, right? So
yeah, Pacific. No, that's where he first coached was Pacific University. I don't know. He sat behind a lot of good coaches. He was actually on the Walsh coaching tree. He was the defensive coordinator in 1995, I believe, for the 49ers. Pete Carroll was.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, for the last Super Bowl, I believe.
He sat behind Bud Grant too in Minnesota for a little bit. I mean, he's been surrounded by great guys, but he's not going to last forever. We know he's 71 years old. So the question here in Seattle is who's going to be after him, right?
No doubt. No, that's true. And it's probably not that far off. Was he 71, 72?
71. The oldest coach in NFL history is Mark Levy. He was 73, his last game coach, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. Beto is saying the Eagles lost both their coordinators. They'll factor in the season. Yeah. I mean, talk about they got a lot of rookies on that defense, and then rookies coordinating their offense and their defense. So yeah, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Pterodomes. They're arguing with Familia. I'm going to stay out of that.
I'm staying out of all this bullshit. Sorry.
No, just trying to find stuff that's interesting. So should we talk a little bit about Devin Witherspoon and Jackson Smith and Jigba? You guys did take an edge in the second round. Our defensive
backfield, I'm really interested to see because Michael Jackson played left corner last year, and obviously that's where Witherspoon's going to be slotted to play. Mike Jackson played great, and I think Kobe Bryant did good at slot corner, right? So the question is, where's Mike Jackson going to fit into that defensive backfield? Because I think he's a starting caliber cornerback in the NFL. And then the other question is, how is Jamal Adams going to be played next year? Like, is he just going to – because he's not a true safety. He sucks in coverage, which is the worst trait to have as a safety, in my opinion. I can't – Jamal Adams is something else with me.
We have 2 that are kind of like dollar store versions with Huff and Jair Brown, our draft pick this year. They're both ball hawks as far as intercepting, but they're not great in coverage. They're great pass rushers.
No. So, this guy has the worst ball skills I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. He has bricks for hands. So there was 2 times in 2021. The ball was just thrown at his face mask, hits his face mask. He played one half of football last year, and he dropped a Russell Wilson interception. It hit him right in the face. He doesn't even put his hands up. I just can't. Don't even get me started. I think he's awesome as like a rover type defensive player, kind of basically like the Deebo Samuel of our defense is what he's going to play. I think Julian Love's going to be strong safety. Quandre is going to be that, the cover 1, cover 3 deep safety, and then Jamal's going to kind of be a hybrid linebacker safety type player. So
There you go. Okay. Well,
Sorry,
bottom.
that was a lot.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And ultimately Huff has improved his coverage a little bit, but it kind of showed up late last season. And I think it sounds like Jared Brown is very similar to Hufanga. So yeah, they do make interceptions, but not known for their coverage thus far. Hopefully they can improve that. We'll see.
I like that Hufanga. He was a pretty cool player. I
Yeah,
actually.
he's just a little undersized and doesn't have a lot of long speed, but he definitely plays with good instincts. Big hitter. Definitely had 4 interceptions in the first half of the season, but then didn't do much in the second half. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
And when it comes to Jackson Smith and Jigba, we've been really searching for that number 3 wide receiver for quite some time. And who knows, he has a potential to be a number 1 wide receiver, right? But he's going to step in big. We drafted D. Eskridge, I guess it'd be 3 years ago now, in the second round. He was supposed to be our number 3 receiver, but he's had 17.
That was the year. That was the year everybody took little guys. Y'all took D. Eskridge. The Rams took Tutu Atwell, and the Cards took Rondale Moore, who turned out to be the best of the 3.
Rondale Moore, I definitely would rather have than D. Eskridge. He's had 17 catches in 2 seasons.
Sheesh.
So
I was the most worried about D. Honestly, I thought he was going to be. I was like, oh man, the Seahawks did it again. I was really worried about him. To be honest.
Here's what's frustrating about him, right? So we draft Eskridge. Okay, he does nothing for 2 years. Then we draft Njigba, and D. Eskridge doesn't show up to OTAs this year. He's absent. Don't you think he'd be doing everything? Because he's not fighting for the number 3 receiver spot anymore. He's fighting for a spot on the 53-man roster. So
I would think he would be, but some people they get that paycheck and they're just like, I'm good. It's you never know someone's heart until you really pay them, and then you see who keeps fighting and who just like kicks their feet up, right? It's hard to know, but that's one reason not to take as many chances on character risk guys, because those guys probably have more chance of taking their foot off the gas once they get the bag. Ramelia Sports Report says Rams have 4 titles. Yeah, dude, 2 of them are not Super Bowls. Those don't count, bro. When you're wearing leather helmets and beating 8 or 12 teams to get it, like winning the NFC Championship now, beating 16 teams to get to the Super Bowl, that means more than those old championships did. So sorry, hate to tell you.
I don't know how you do this.
What?
This is rough. Usually when I'm with Ryan, there's not this many. Oh hey, blah blah. Usually it's pretty calm.
Oh no, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes the live shows great. It's like you come in with this idea of what you're going to do. I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing 2 Seahawks shows in one day. Like, what are we going to talk about? And like all of a sudden, like it's been almost an hour and we haven't got through half the stuff. So no, nothing. And that's what makes it great. That's why these are so much better than podcasts, because podcasts is like 2 guys talking.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I
love the live shows. I love the
yeah. No, you'll get used to it. It's and it's I mean, yeah, I've been doing them for 8 months, and I was doing like 2-3 a day too. So keep that in mind too. So I've gotten a lot of practice, and I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes and stuff. It's fine. You just live and learn and keep trying to improve. Little Spongy says 1 hour till Corey's show.
Yeah, Corey's got trivia going on tonight.
Everybody make sure to check that out for sure. Let's see here. Rams, Shams. Yeah, we can't be too mean to Ramelia because the Rams don't have any good. Well, actually, they have one. That Payo time is really good.
We don't have any either, dude.
Is awesome. Really?
No.
Well, you got you and you got Candace. I like both of you guys a lot.
We got 2 people that that have like a combined of 75 subscribers.
Well, I think the way to be good is to like not be a total homer, to come on and be like, yeah, that's possible. The Seahawks, we swept y'all last year, 3-game sweep, and we may not sweep you guys this year. I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't even think I'm saying more than may not. I don't think we will. So, I mean, ultimately, I don't know. I think people who on the timeline, I get really homerish, and I'm just like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It's like all very absolute and black and white. On the show, there's a lot more nuance, shades of gray,
That's me too.
context.
I'm not gonna come in here and say the Seahawks are gonna finish 13-4, 14-3, sweep the division. Like it's not. It's possible. Yeah, obviously anything's possible. It's highly unlikely, right? I
Yeah,
mean, last season, obviously, before I had the show, I was saying Seahawks are going to win 7 games. Well, we ended up winning 9, and I mean, did
yeah,
pretty damn good for the expectations that we had. So
they did do it. Ramelia is saying Toilet Bowl Stadium.
the Seahawks.
Ramelia. No, I think he's talking about Levi's because
Oh, okay.
he's just going at it with our fans. But you know what I will say about Levi's? Two things. One, Super Bowl 60 will be there. And two, we play on grass. I don't care how fancy your seats are at your stadium. If you play on turf, grass is better. Period. They're just
We can agree to disagree on that all day. Agree to disagree on that.
turf is the devil. Now the
I don't.
Seahawks, what you guys have the acoustics where it's you get the noise, and that I would trade a lot of our luxury boxes that bring us a lot of revenue for more noise and more of like a conical shaped or bowl shaped backdrop to the stadium so that it reverberated the noise back and forth like yours does. That was smart to build it that way.
Well, that's the thing too. Is we at one point we were the Guinness Book of World Records for loudest sports stadium, right, or loudest football stadium. But then the Chiefs kept beating us, and we kept going back and forth. But they hold 20,000 more fans than we do, right? We hold 67,000 fans, so it's like, I mean, you can only do so much with 67,000 people, and that's including the boxes and everything. So,
Plus, how loud are you going to be when you only have one playoff win in the last 6 seasons, right? I mean, come
right, yeah.
I had to go there. Sorry. I had to go there. Bryant Call says, how long do you think Kobe Bryant will be on the Seahawks?
3 more years, right? That's when his rookie contract's up. Unless he makes drastic steps forward, right? But 3 years is going to be scary for us because that's when we're going to have to start paying people. This team's so young, nobody's making any money, right? But we're going to start having to pay people in about 3 years, and it's going to suck.
There you go. David McNiner says, being a wide receiver behind Lockett and Metcalf must be hard. Maybe he wants out for playing time.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want out. He just doesn't want to show up, I guess. It's not like he demanded a trade or anything. Ramelia said we pumped fake noise. That's completely false, and we never got fined for that. So
yeah. No, that's been proven false. What else we got?
About the turf and grass, though, honestly, grass is fine as long as somebody takes care of it. Because we played Washington and they had grass in 2012 in the playoffs, and we had Chris Clemens tear his ACL and RG3 tear their ACL in that game, and it was just a shit field, right? So
yeah, FedEx Field was awful. I agree there, but Levi's has some of the best grass in the business, so it's a little different. And quite a few players have come out and said it, including like OBJ, Cooper Kupp. Players that play on turf have said, football should be played on grass ideally. But yeah, you do have to maintain it. And there are like at lower levels or even Commanders, but usually it's at lower levels where it's uneven and like, yeah, you can have worse injuries on that.
Grass sucks
than
too.
Good turf.
I mean, it's like, but here's the thing: there hasn't been a bunch of like, knock on wood, obviously, there hasn't been a bunch of like ACL injuries like that in Seattle. It's always been like New York is the turf field that everybody's freaking out about.
Yeah, and they've replaced it. So hopefully it'll be better now. We'll see.
Because yeah, it's been fine where we're at. Obviously, yeah.
So Beto has the real RSR Ramelia Sports Reports cell phone. So he texts him to know if it's the real one. There's a fake one that comes into these. And he says, I texted you and you didn't reply. I know it's not you, buddy. And then Ramelia said, I texted you and you didn't respond. So
why would somebody make a fake account of some? It just don't make sense.
There are some people in these that have multiple fake accounts.
Well, I know
They enjoy
Steve-O.
doing that.
Steve-O's got fake accounts. That's
I
for
think there's more too, because there was one going on when Steve-O was like outside on his phone, not
sure.
even, not even typing or whatever. So I think there's more than just one, but ultimately, yeah, Steve-O Supremo for sure is definitely one. But as long as they're well behaved or it's just like banter like this, I mean, I don't see the harm
I
in it.
like Steve-O. Steve-O's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I like having more audience interaction than less, as long as it doesn't get out of hand. Got Jess from East Coast Red and Gold in the house saying, hey,
What's
hey,
up, Jess?
thanks for joining. We appreciate you being here. She has a great show Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. In
That was our
fact,
bad. I'd like to apologize, Jess. Last Wednesday, I did not take into consideration that you started at 5 o'clock as well. So I texted Ryan. I was like, "Hey, I got home from work early. You want to try doing the show at 5?" So, no slight towards you. That was my bad.
Romelia says, seriously, it's not Beto. Uh-oh. Shots fired. Beto, I need your cell phone so we can prove it's you.
Oh, jeez.
Kidding. We know it's not. It's just fun to play sometimes. Shoo. You guys are just going crazy here. Little Spongy saying, calm down, boys.
You tell him, Sponge.
He's saying Seattle pumped fake crowd noise. They got
No,
fined for it.
we didn't though.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, Michael Strahan was the one that said we were pumping fake crowd noise, and then we came back even louder, and their team false started 12 times. So, how about that?
Strahan. Mr. Oh,
Dude,
yeah,
yeah,
I'll leave that
yeah.
alone. I was gonna go there, and I was like, "Oh, don't be mean."
I will. He's got millions. I got nothing.
He's great. He still has the record, right? He has a single season sack record too, right? 22 and a half, something like that. Allegedly. Just saying,
You
go
think Brett Favre took a
Niners.
dive? I think so too.
Where's that? Is that, am I way behind?
No, I'm talking about you when Strahan broke the record. He sacked Brett Favre, right? And Brett Favre just fell down like before Strahan even got there.
Interesting. I clearly wasn't paying attention. So, I mean, knowing Brett Favre, I wouldn't be surprised if he did take a dive if there's money
Especially
involved.
now.
Hearing that he's scamming like welfare people or whatever, that was some nefarious thing that he's
Allegedly,
doing.
yeah. Well,
Allegedly, I mean, we should be careful because like I don't want to get sued. I heard he was trying to sue Pat McAfee for a minute, but I guess he beat the charges. And Shannon Sharp. And now, did Shannon leave Skip today? Did I hear that?
I did hear that Shannon left Skip, which who cares? Because I can't stand that kind of talk. Just there,
where you just argue, take opposite sides to take opposite sides for no good reason.
I'm on the West Coast too, and the amount that I'm in the forgotten part of the United States when it comes to sports. I'm in the Northwest. I don't care about the Cowboys. I don't care about the Lakers. I don't care about the Yankees. That's all they talk about. I can't stand it.
Yeah, it's brutal. There's definitely East Coast bias for sure. And then LA bias over San Francisco, and I'm sure San Francisco over Seattle. It's a pecking order by market size.
If you want to sit in the sun, go to Levi's. If you want to sit in the rain, come to Lumen Field. I mean,
there you go.
Football is designed to be played outside. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And on turf. I mean, on grass.
No, we'll disagree.
I'm going to take it to the next level. Damn it. Bebop Jones in the house saying F the Lambs. Go ahead. Sorry. Go, Joe.
No, we don't need a $5 billion stadium to make a difference, right? I mean, people actually show up to ours. Our stadium was $300 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but compared to $5 billion, and we sell out every game, obviously, right? So
there you go.
I'm happy that we don't have the fancy wraparound, 50-yard line screen. Well, from the 10 to the 10 or whatever it goes. I don't like that. I just like.
Don't punts hit it all the time?
No, I think that's the Cowboys. It was.
Oh, okay. All right. So Dave McNair says there's 2 fake accounts of Rudy. If you see me say the real Rudy, please stand up, then it's fake. All right. We're starting to figure it out here. I'm gonna leave pterodones off as a little vulgar. We'll skip that one. No worries, Joe. Let's see. Everybody's just saying hi. Oh man, these guys are just going crazy. Bebop saying fake news, lame. Anyway, Shannon broke up with Skip Bayless. I'm not a big fan of Skip Bayless for sure, but he does get one right every now and then. I mean, it's not like he's never right, but
that's my problem with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. They'll get 40 things wrong, and then the one right, they'll go, "See, I told you that." Well, it's like, yeah, because out of the 50 crazy things you've got that one thing right, obviously.
Ramelia says Hopkins wants to play with Matthew Dime Stafford. Is Stafford even going to play? And with what money? The Rams got no money. Who are you kidding?
Even the money thing, I would just love to see them get DeAndre Hopkins and it fail. That would make me so happy. I mean, you guys don't understand. It would be awesome if they got him. Oh, they failed.
No doubt about it. Bryant says Yankees are the kings of baseball. Yeah, Yankees and Dodgers. They both have huge payrolls for sure. It's hard to compete when you don't have the money. The Mariners did well last season, though, didn't they?
Don't even get me started on the Mariners. One thing that'll just piss me off. It's got. Yeah.
No, we'll skip it.
Yeah. Got the best ownership group in the world. I'll say in the world. I'm pretty biased with Paul Allen on one side of the street, and then you got a team that doesn't make the playoffs for 22 years on the other side of the street. It's embarrassing.
There you go. Steve Supremo says the throwing cowboy jersey in the trash was pretty classless. That was Skip Bayless.
I think it was more classless that it was rehearsed. You know what I mean? Like he had time to set up the camera, right? Just whatever.
Bebop says Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser are the GOATs. There we go. Some real talk, folks. Cool. So we're kind of catching up. So should we talk a little bit more about Seahawks draft? I feel like we talked about Witherspoon. We talked about Njigba. What do you think of Derek Hall?
Derek Hall, I think he'll need time to develop. He's kind of like he'll kind of be like Darrell Taylor. Darrell Taylor had 9.5 sacks last year. I think I wouldn't be, if I was a 49ers fan, I wouldn't be worried about Derek Hall until 2024, if that makes sense. He'll kind of be a developmental edge guy. He'll get playing time. If I were you guys, I'd be more worried about Boye Mafe this year because I think he had that year to grow, right? And this year he'll basically be like the Cliff Averill of today's Seahawks. And, he'll be like Cliff Averill, basically. And then Derek Hall, I'd worry about in 2024 being like Michael Bennett. So obviously you guys know people are. So
good to know. And then what'd you think of Charbonnet? Also,
that's what I was going to ask you about, being a California boy. What do you think about Charbonnet?
I mean, I know Grant Cohn really liked him. Grant Cohn went to UCLA, and he was really high on him. Candace was saying he's a one-cut runner, maybe like a 1B, maybe even to Kenneth Walker, like a really good. Obviously, you guys lost Rashad Penny to the Eagles.
Penny sucks because he was always hurt, but it wasn't his fault. He was like breaking his leg, tearing his ACL. It wasn't like, oh, my wrist is sore, I can't play. Right? I feel bad.
Right.
I wish him the best.
And when he did play, wasn't he like 6.5 yards a carry or something ridiculous like that?
Exactly. It was crazy, but he just the most unlucky person on the team for the last few years.
Vermelia says the Kardashians are greater than the Niners. Oh, man.
Aren't the Kardashians from LA?
Yeah, Calabasas.
I mean, I don't know geography of California very well, but I'd say they're more of a Rams people.
Probably. Niners haven't gotten it done. Not recently. That's true. So then what else have we got?
We got Charbonnet, Derek Hall, and then
Sh-
the Charbonnet. If what everybody's saying about him's true, I'm excited. I was really excited for Kenneth Walker last year. Rushed for
yeah.
1,000 yards. If he played for the New York Jets, he would have been Rookie of the Year. That's how I feel about Tariq Woolen too. If you think about it, if Woolen was the 5th overall pick, played New York, and Sauce was a 5th round pick, played in Seattle, Woolen would have won Rookie of the Year, no doubt about it.
No, I had a Jets fan say that he thought that Woolen had a better rookie season than Sauce. I streamed a couple other channels besides mine on YouTube. Let's Talk Sports and Hardcore Sports.
Okay.
And we're not streaming to Let's Talk Sports tonight because there's a lot of people producing content for them, and somebody did a Celtics Heat live stream and like put the game on YouTube, like literally showed the camera on the TV. Like
nice.
A knucklehead, and so they got a 1 week ban for that. So, but ultimately, Dan, who runs that, he's from England, really good guy, and he's a Jets fan. And he came on, and he was saying that he felt like Woolen had a better rookie season than Sauce. He feels like Sauce is probably the better corner. He'll probably end up better, but rookie season, Woolen better. So I was like, wow, that's a hell of a non-homer take for sure.
Well, here's the thing: is the Tariq Woolen allowed less yards, got more interceptions, lower completion percentage. He allowed 2 more touchdowns than Sauce. Sauce only allowed 1. Tariq allowed 3. He had a quarterback rating of 48.7 to Sauce's 62.7, and they both started all 17 games. So statistically, yes, Tariq was better. But just watching him, Tariq is so fast and like just. It's insane. You guys will see the next few years. He's like Richard Sherman, but with the speed of Earl Thomas. It's basically what I tell people.
That's wild. Beto is saying, question for everyone in the chat: who will win the Super Bowl first, the Lambs or the Cardinals? I would go with the Rams since they have won one. And Cardinals and Suns haven't won any, no trophies.
I think the Cardinals are due. The Cardinals are due. They've waited their however long it's been. So what? This will be Super Bowl 56, right?
57. Yeah.
Yeah, they've waited their due diligence. I think they're due. It wouldn't break my heart if they won one. Not gonna lie.
There you go. Ryan from No Border Sports in the house. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, who's that? Just kidding, Ryan's my boy.
Just playing. Sometimes you're careful. Sometimes Ryan can get, he and I have gotten things a little misconstrued from time to time, for sure. Got our feathers ruffled, let's say.
Oh, really? Me and him have always been fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we always knew it probably, had good intentions, but there was a day where we each misread one of each other's tweets, and we're like, what?
But I'm not a good tweeter because I'm not a good tweeter. Not even close. But yeah, man, I'm excited about Charbonnet. I'm excited about our defensive backfield. I don't think people are going to be able to throw the ball on us very well. So
I don't think so either. Jess is saying Niners.
As long as we can get a decent pass rush too, because that's the thing. That's what when we played you guys in the second half of the wild card game, that pass rush killed us because we had none, right? So you guys were just hitting deep crosser. Well, that's not really the secondary's fault playing cover 3. That's your quarterback has 10 seconds to throw the ball every time. Of course, he's going to find a guy open. So
it's Tommy Huxley. I can't do it very well. Aaron does it really well, but this is a fake Tommy Huxley. I haven't seen a fake Tommy Huxley. I think that's the real. I mean, it's fake. Aaron Labigan does a good version of that introduction. Mine pales in comparison, but I always try and do it anyway if Aaron's not here. Beto's saying hi to No Borders. What else we got here? That's not Rudy. It's a troll account, and that's true. But like I said, No harm, no foul. As long as it's just mild banter, I think we can all suck it up.
Yeah, no,
Um,
about it.
have you been keeping up with Niners camp and all the QB drama we've been going on?
Something about upper body strength today. I saw on the Pat McAfee show that Darnold's looking better than Lance, but I just saw one throw. So
Yeah, Darnold had a good day yesterday. Apparently, throwing it was his first time throwing to the first team, and he had a high completion percentage and some nice throws. Although Lance had a low completion percentage, there were 3 drops, and he did complete the longest pass of the day. So even on a bad day, there's things to look forward to with Lance. I'm still a firm believer that Lance will beat out Darnold. And I'm even saying he might beat out Purdy, if this reworked mechanics actually works out.
honestly, dude, if Darnold starts, that's just a waste of 3 picks.
Yeah, I think so too. And what I've been saying is if, Trey clearly has a very high ceiling, whether he hits it or not, nobody knows. He's obviously got to stay healthy to hit it. But, if we don't figure out what we have in him, let him go, and he hits that ceiling somewhere else, Kyle will never live that down. And Kyle's job probably won't last much longer than that. So more importantly, us Niner fans will never hear the end of it because we'll still be here, long after Kyle has been sacked for blowing that decision. So that's my doomsday scenario with Lance. I'm like, we got to figure out what we got in him.
Do you guys
before we
talk
trade him
about
away.
calling for Kyle Shanahan's head? Do you guys fans talk about that often?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are fire Kyle people for sure. And I think I was talking about it earlier. I don't really trust Kyle with QBs that much anymore or third round running backs. I feel like everything else he's a genius. So I'm still a Shanna fan. Me criticizing Kyle doesn't mean I want a new coach. I just want Kyle to learn and get better. But ultimately, yeah, there have been a lot who hated Kyle and wanted him gone. But then they start to look stupid every time we make it to the NFC Championship game. So
that's what happened with us, with people going, "Oh, I was on the trade Russ camp a year before they actually traded Russ because once he put out his 4 teams that he wanted to go to, I was like, fine, do it, whatever." So everybody was saying, "Oh, they picked the wrong guy. They should have picked the quarterback. Pete's 71 years old." And then, yeah, they did look stupid, because Pete is the thing about Pete is he took over a losing city and made us winners again. I mean, I guess you could say Mike Holmgren did it, but Pete did it to the next level. So
there you go. McNiner says Red Chickens will never win a Super Bowl because their owner, no one wants to be a coach there. Ask Sean Payton and D'Amico Ryans. I guess they passed on the Cards coaching job. Brian Culp says, I'm not good at Twitter, so you've got some company here. Jess says, sounds like a wine, LOL. I'm not sure which one she meant. Ryan's saying, get ready for Drake Jackson, Joe.
He a receiver?
He's a defensive end that we took out of USC last year in the second round. And he started out pretty well, but then he got kind of tired. He's not used to an NFL season. He was a little overweight. And he got all rocked up. About 13 pounds of muscle he added since then. And supposedly just as fast. So he'll probably be playing the other side of Bosa, along with Hargrave and Eric Armstead. It could be a pretty formidable line.
I'm afraid of Armstead. I like Armstead a lot.
He's a hell of a run stuffer for sure. And even though he doesn't get a lot of sacks, he eats up a lot of double teams in the pass rush game that allows other people to get sacks. I will say he did have 2 pretty key pressures last season. Jimmy Ward had 3 interceptions playing the nickel corner, and 2 of them came on Eric Armstead pressures. He pressured Tua in the Dolphins game, and Tua threw it to Jimmy Ward. And he pressured, must have been, who's the little guy? Heineke for the
Commodores?
Commanders. Yeah, Commodores. And he threw it to Jimmy Ward also. So sometimes when people say pressures are more important than sacks, there's some merit to that. It's kind of interesting. I got in an argument with some Cowboys fans about pressures versus sacks because Micah Parsons has the highest, pass rush win rate, the most pressures. Also the most double teams supposedly according to Next Gen Stats. And I was just like, yeah, pressures that they can be nice, but ultimately it's like there's a reason why Pro Football Reference doesn't list pressures as a stat. And it's because it's not like a sack or a QB hit or a tackle for loss. We're like, oh, you saw that? That's what it was. You see a pressure, like, oh, was that a pressure? Did he move off the mark? Did it affect his throw? It's very subjective. It's very open to interpretation. And so two different guys can see the same play, and one could say that's a pressure, and one could say that isn't. So,
well, true
two
pressure
people, sorry, not just guys.
True pressure is very important. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'd rather have a true pressure. Honestly, I'd rather have 10 true pressures than 5 true sacks, if that makes sense.
It does, because sometimes people get the sacks that are coming in late and they're just, cleaning up the mess after 1, 2, or 3 pressures, got the quarterback off his mark and kept him from throwing.
Exactly.
And there's some schmo getting the sack, but like with Bosa, that's not Bosa. So I mean,
no, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of Bosa. I'm afraid of Warner, and I'm afraid of Armstead. So
there you go.
Seahawks.
Oh, sorry. That's out of line, Tommy. Out of line. I put that up before I read it. So I'll take that down. I saw crossers. I thought he was talking about the crossing patterns. I didn't see the end.
So did I. I didn't even read the whole thing. I read it completely different, like salad dressing too. I was like,
there you go.
I don't get it.
What else we got? He says, he's saying that McVay is going to retire until Darnold gets in the game. He sees ghosts. Yeah, I do not want to see that. I've been saying about Darnold, I've been saying I can see some parallels with Sam Darnold and early Alex Smith as far as 5 different OCs and 5 different seasons. Obviously, very different styles of play. Alex Smith, super conservative. Sam Darnold, turnover machine. But even as a turnover machine, if you sling it, and you air it out, that can make up for some turnovers because you can stretch the D. It opens things up for your yak weapons and opens things up in the run game too. So I'm not saying he'll be Alex Smith, but I could see him, having a little revival with us. I don't think we can win a Super Bowl with him though. Somebody's saying, no, we can win a Super Bowl with any of our 3 QBs. We can win a Super Bowl with Purdy if our team is as good as it was in 2022. We can win a Super Bowl with Lance if he, keeps improving.
You guys have always been injury plagued. That was the problem. It seemed like last year was the year where it finally seemed like it wasn't like a totally injury plagued season, except for arguably the most important position on the field, right?
Yeah.
But it just kept working. I remember when Garoppolo went out, I was like, oh, thank God, they're going to suck now. And then, nope. They won how many games did Purdy win in a row? Like 10? So.
Yeah, exactly. Terradome says he doesn't remember the last time we lost to the Rams. Well, it was 4 seasons ago. We swept them 4 seasons in a row, so it's 5 seasons ago. It must have been 2019.
Yeah.
Rams are tanking. I know we swept them in 2019 too, though. We beat them there, and we beat them at Levi's too. Rams are tanking and not in a war.
They are. They're in the war with the Cardinals right now. I'll tell you what. I mean, I can't really see what the Rams are doing, but I really can't see what the Cardinals are doing. So.
Eddie DeBartolo would have fired Kyle for losing 2 straight NFC Championship games. Yeah, I mean, even Jed did it to Harbaugh for losing an NFC Championship game, losing a Super Bowl, and losing an NFC Championship game. So we're getting there, but I think Jed also wants to keep butts in seats, and Kyle's doing a good job of that. And I think he just needs a quarterback. I think put a good QB in the system. We got it. I mean, we saw it last year. It was just too bad that Purdy got hurt. Got Seahawks Eddie in the building saying, what's up, Joe and Ted Talks. What's up, Eddie? Thanks for joining. Stay out of their little battle.
Stay
Player you were talking about before that name sounds like wine. Oh, Chardonnay. Yeah, it sounds like a mixture of Chardonnay and champagne, almost.
Yeah.
Charbonnet. That's what it was.
And I guess he's one of the only. I don't want to mess it up. I guess he's like one of the only Cambodian NFL players right now, or something like that. Cambodian heritage.
Really?
Yeah,
that would make sense because there's a lot of French influence in Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Vietnam. Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, I could be wrong. It could be a different ethnicity, but I could have swore that's what it was.
Ramirez says we're football royalty with no rings. Yeah, except for we have 5. But hey, close. Nice try. Drake Jackson is the edge that ruined Matthew Stafford per source. Source is Kelly Stafford. Oh my. Yeah, I mean, I have my doubts about Matthew Stafford making it through the season. He obviously missed a lot of last season. Backs are tricky. I think it was a back contusion, like a bruise. And that is not as bad as like a disc or a fractured vertebrae or anything like that. So it doesn't sound like something that'll maybe carry over to this. But he did have that. He kind of had some UCL issues, some arm fatigue, elbow fatigue, what have you. So there's more than one way that he could have trouble. And he's getting old. And he's been beat up most of his career. I mean, in a good way. I mean, honestly, Stafford has played through a lot of injuries. I respect him for that. Even though I don't like him, I definitely have respect for that.
I never liked him.
There you go. Ryan from Nobar Sports says Operation Commodore, making fun of the Commanders. Like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Terradome said only a fool would bet on the Rams for the Super Bowl. Actually, no, the odds are probably like plus 45,000 right now. So if you bet $100, you win like $4,500. I mean, I guess if you got a little bit of a hunch that they might, I put $100 down on the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl last year in the preseason. Would have won $4,000. So
holy smokes!
If that's your team, right?
I didn't realize I was so far behind in the chat. I would have worked my way up from the bottom. Beto is saying at this point, even Geno Smith is better than Matthew Stafford. Bebop saying Stafford wash. Rams broke as you know what. This is the one you were talking about. What team does Ramsey play for now? He's
just saying
he's a Jag, right?
No, that's who he is. A Dolphin.
Oh, Dolphin. That's right. Yeah, the Dolphins did some good stuff. It's just the Dolphins. Like you can't count on Tua. I mean, poor guy's getting
because it's not his fault either. Like it just
it's because he's too tiny. He just gets ragdolled and like they're bouncing his head off the turf or the grass, and it's like he's getting concussions and he's not even getting hit helmet to helmet. I mean, so I just don't see how you can expect him to last. It's sad. I hate to see that. I think he should have retired, honestly. Bebop says Tart missed the easy interception. Drop Tart, we call him, from the NFC Championship against the Rams. Kyle Shannon's one good quarterback away from being Andy Reid. I've been saying that a lot. That Andy Reid just couldn't get there. Got Mahomes. Boom. 2 wins.
So I don't know if you know this or not. You guys probably all know this, but Andy Reid was a Mike Holmgren guy, and then Mike Holmgren was a Bill Walsh guy, right? So Andy Reid is technically off the Bill Walsh coaching tree. It's just he went, so it goes like at the top. It's Bill Walsh, and then Mike Holmgren, and then Andy Reid and Gruden and somebody else. But yeah, stressing the D, huh?
There you go. I'm going to try and catch back up again here. Well, I think we're good. I think we've been here an hour 34.
Sorry,
I was going to try. I try to keep them an hour 15, an hour 30, and we had great audience interaction. That makes it fun, and I think we got through most of the stuff that we wanted to. We got through our predictions early. Just so you know, Joe was saying sort of like 10 to 12 wins for the Seahawks, and I was saying 11 or 12 for the Niners. So we think it's going to be close. We think maybe the Niners will edge it out, but you never know. The big thing for the Niners is they have that awful travel schedule. And I was thinking more like 13-4 or 12-5, but now I'm like 12-5 or 11-6 for the Niners. So
Travel's
we'll
rough
see.
being on the West Coast, dude. Being on the
Dude, I
West
mean,
Coast.
if you're missing 32 days in a 4-month season, we have over a month less rest in 4 months. That's like a day every 4 days where other teams are resting. We're not, like ice. That's practice. That's sleep. It's all the things. Recovery. It's so important for the human body, and people just gloss over it. And it's a huge freaking deal. And it's a bummer, but the Niners might be good enough that it might not matter. I mean, if Drake Jackson hits, if Isaiah Oliver is anything close to Jimmy Ward in the nickel, if Hufanga improves, if Lenore improves, as long as a big question mark for us is going to be McKivitz at the right tackle.
Yep.
He won't be the run blocker that McGlinchey was, but I think he'll be a better pass blocker. And then, can McCaffrey and Debo and Kittle and Ayuk and all those guys stay healthy? Especially, Kittle's had injury issues, Debo's had injury issues, CMC's had injury issues. So there's a lot of, precedent there that we'll have to overcome. But I do think if Debo's in good shape, like people are saying, he might have showed up in good shape this year, then that'll take a lot of the stress off of CMC. Hopefully.
Yeah, I heard that. So, well, thank you everybody in the chat. Thanks for listening to us banter back and forth a little bit with the chat. I'd say more than back and forth between us. It was more of me in the chat, right? So.
Oh, it's fun. That's the way, like I said, that's what makes live shows great. And we'll have to do it again whenever you're ready. I'll hop on your channel too. And we'll do it the other way around. But thanks everybody for showing up. I appreciate it. I'll say peace and go Niners. You want to give them a go Hawks?
Yeah, go Hawks, baby.
All right. Thanks everybody.